Spartan Nation, this is Huddle to Hardwood, your home for Michigan State basketball. My name is Holden.
Oh, my name is Jacob, and today we might be a little bit of Blue Devil fans. Today we're going to be breaking down our video a little bit differently. First, we're going to be starting off with our overall and slash overview of the game. Our next topic will be players. Then we'll move on to our offensive struggles, our defensive and discipline struggles, and then we'll finish the video off with looking ahead. So, Holdster, what is your overall views and thoughts of the game?
First off, I would just like to say that it is rather odd as a Michigan State basketball fan to even own a Duke basketball shirt. It is quite interesting. I will just say that, but I will support it for today.
Okay, I have an explanation. I have an explanation. My dad traveled a lot when I was younger. He visited Duke's campus and he always brought me back like souvenirs. So I have a ton of different college shirts. But yeah, so every time he visited a new campus, he would get me a shirt, and I just happen to have a Duke one. So
Our overview, a bit of an overview for this game. First off, from the Ohio State side, I think Bruce Thornton, like I expected, we said in the preview, he was, their offense. He was their guy. He pretty much got everything he wanted this game with 32 points. He scored over half of Ohio State's points today. Um,
16 in the first half, by the
yeah,
way.
16 in both halves, I think. He had 16 and 16 because I'm pretty sure he had 16 in the second half.
Yeah.
Um, and then I really couldn't tell this game if it was bad offense or just really good defense. I For either team, I think it's more so of the first thing. I think Ohio State relied completely on Bruce Thornton to do everything, and then I think Michigan State just had another one of those very clunky, bad offensive performances. I think both teams struggled mightily from the free throw line, going along with the refs controlling most of this game. I think there's both teams spent a lot of time at the free throw line, but they also were both missing left and right from the free throw line. Um, and so that was my brief overview. Jake, what about you? What are some things that you noticed briefly from this game?
Yeah, just my brief quick notes. Nine turnovers, six of them coming in the first half. Ridiculous. Um, Another little stat. We've in the last 7 games that we've played, we've trailed at half, six of the last seven. Um, Also not very good. Rebounding battle, we absolutely demolished them. We won 43 to 26. I mean, I didn't think there was really a question on whether we were going to win the rebound battle or not, but we absolutely demolished them. And then I thought the reason we won the game, to be honest, is that our bench just happened to be too much. We had too much fresh legs coming in. Not that our bench did anything because their bench scored 11 points. Our bench had nine. They only played three bench players. We had five. Um, so
I think this was just an overall just ugly, ugly game. The
yeah,
fact that we struggled this badly and coming into this game, we were only expecting John Mobley Jr. to be missing for Ohio State, but then coming into this game, it was a late scratch that Devin Royal, who we talked a lot about in the preview, was also not playing. So the fact that Ohio State led for the majority of this game, and we were just struggling, like with pretty much doing anything, defending Bruce Thornton and just putting the ball through the hoop, struggling with turnovers. Like I think it's just embarrassing that we basically almost lost to a one-man team today at home. Um, that's just one thing I forgot to mention, but
very embarrassing considering our team identity has been defense this season. I understand sometimes happens. But for the past couple of games, we've had players just absolutely go off on us, like in the Wisconsin game and this game. Yeah, pretty ridiculous. We'll get a little more in depth into it. Moving on to our next segment, we're going to talk about players and we're going to kind of break down what we saw from some of the players. So, would you like to go first?
yeah. So I don't think we lose this game. I kind of just put I don't think we win this game, sorry. I put on my notes Jordan freaking Scott. Didn't use that actual word, but I just, Jordan Scott. I just think he has been just an incredible surprise just overall to this season and then even more down the stretch. I think he just adds that element that we were missing at that two guard spot. That was the hole on our entire that was the one big gaping hole that we had in our team, and I think he's filled it almost perfectly. It just sucks that we don't have much depth after that. It feels like we need our, starting five to play like 35 minutes a game to, be successful. Because I just after that, like you can get good minutes from Kurt Tang here and there, some from Cam Ward. He's been struggling, but really once it comes, it's like kind of a big drop off when those starting five comes out, especially offensively. It just feels like it drops off a lot. But anyways,
And
he's just all over the place. I think he's always around the ball. He's always getting those rebounds in timely manner. He got a huge rebound at the end of this game and put back to I think give us the lead or extend our continue our run. He hit big shot after big shot in the second half, and he was just always there. He made one really good pass to Cooper where he had a nice finish.
yeah.
He's just all over the place, dude. And I love watching Jordan Scott play. And then Carson Cooper had
Before you go on to
another.
Carson, I do want to say Jordan Scott continues his double-digit scoring streak. He had 12 this game. That's now 6 games in a row, all the games that he started so far. So
I mean, he puts a little bit into each box when it comes to the box score. Like today, just 12 points,
yeah.
uh, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. I didn't write down his steal. I know he had at least one block. He's all over the place, and he does things that doesn't necessarily come up in the stat sheet. I
Yeah, I was
just love
about to
watching him
say that.
play.
Like something that doesn't show up in the stat sheet is his hustle. That dude is
Yeah.
diving on the floor. He's constantly getting beaten up. And it's one of those things that you absolutely need to have on a team, and you love to see him rising to that occasion.
And then like I was going to mention, Carson Cooper, another career high game for him today. He had 20 points and 11 rebounds. And surprisingly, a lot of his points came from just a bunch of 15 plus footers. Like his shot looked really impressive today. He had a one or two where the shot clock was winding down. He had to put it up, look pure, went in. Some of them he just, caught the ball confidently, put it up, and he was shooting the ball really well. Um, and then he did great on the glass, obviously, leading in rebounds. But then uh, the post game interviews and stuff with Tom Izzo. And for some reason, like he came straight up. One of the first things he said, yeah, Cooper, he did some good things offensively, but then he just like grilled him about his defense. And I didn't really notice any glaring things about him on defense because it's not like he was guarding Bruce Thornton or anything, but Tom Tom like went really into him about his defense. So
Did well on the
uh,
boards too. So
yeah. So I don't really know. And then we got Jackson Kohler, who struggled, or I mean, he struggled mostly due to just the foul trouble, a couple of dumb fouls that took him out of this game. But in 17 minutes, in just 17 minutes, he still ended up with 9 points and 10 rebounds. So with him struggling not being on the floor due to his foul trouble, I mean, he still was, I mean, really efficient. It kind of sucks because I feel like if he got a chance to play the full game, you would have seen like a really good game in general out of the back or the front court today, with Carson Cooper playing as well as he did, and then Jackson Kohler gets 10 more minutes. I think he has a chance to have a 15 and 12 game or something like that. So just sucks that Jackson didn't get a lot of time because it could have been that big front court performance we've been hoping for recently. But
yeah.
those are my kind of key players. What about you?
Yeah, so to kind of bounce off of Jackson, I'll start with him. Mine's gonna be a little bit more negative with Jackson. I was pretty frustrated with how I felt he was undisciplined in my opinion. I know it's a later topic, but he had a foul 90 feet from the basket, which should never happen. You could tell he just got frustrated and he reached in like it was a 2K foul, and all of a sudden they, yeah, he just,
Rebound spam square.
yeah, literally. And so then he picked up a quick second, then also he was out. He was out there for most of the first half, and he came in with like 5 minutes to go, I want to say, and then he picked up a
Which
third
Izzo
foul.
usually does not do. Usually you get that second foul and shoop, you don't see him
Yeah,
again. But I mean, it was one of those games where we might have to throw you back in because we know we're still losing going into this half, and we just need a spark. And it didn't end up working out because then he got his third, and then we were really in a tough spot. But
Yeah, and
interesting to see that.
he picked up that second foul with 17 minutes left to go in the first half. So it's yeah, and like you said, Tom doesn't really put people in. Like usually second foul you're done, but with how early he came out, like I'm not necessarily surprised he came back in. Uh yeah, I don't know. I was pretty frustrated with that. Um
With how he's struggling, though, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but if you haven't, I mean, I encourage you to watch some of the player interviews after the game and stuff. You can really tell when you watch like Jackson in the locker room that he really cares that he's not playing up to his standard. Like he's very vocal about it and what he needs to do and what the team needs to do. You can just see right on his face and all his body language and what he's saying that he cares and he's more mad at himself than anybody else is. Like he truly cares about the stuff. So coming down the stretch, I mean, we don't have a lot of time left, but I do think that he's going to turn the corner at some point, whether that be our next game against Purdue or our next games coming up. Like, I think he's going to turn the corner. I think he's going to start playing a lot better because you can tell he really cares about it.
Yeah, for sure. And the last thing I'm really gonna say about Jackson, in the 5 minutes of playing time he got in the first half, he had three fouls. Again, I'm not. I guess I'm talking too much about it, so I'm gonna move on. But my next person that I'm gonna talk about is Jeremy. Um, I really was not happy with how he played in the first half. Started the game with a turnover. It was a miscommunication with him and Cohen. Cohen cut. He decided he was going to pass it anyways, and it ended up being a turnover. Very poor start. Um, and then I noted this, which I thought was pretty interesting because I haven't seen this before. We took Jeremy out of the game only after 4 minutes of playing time. After the first TV timeout, he was out, which is even when Divine was healthy. I thought that was interesting. Did you see that, Holden, when he came out?
Yeah, I thought that was rather interesting, especially when we are struggling at, guard depth.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was kind of confused. I don't know if it was just like I don't know what was going on, but
Did
I
he,
know
I mean, I can't remember. Do you know if he came back in soon after that? Maybe it was one
he,
of those moments where, Izzo checks him out to, give him a good talking to and then put him
he came
back in
back
there.
like 2 minutes after.
Maybe it was that situation,
So
but
yeah, but my other thought too with it was that maybe we were just experimenting because I know, especially in games that we should really win in a dominant fashion, I know Izzo likes to experiment with his lineups, especially with March right around the corner, wanting to know with what he can play with, what he has going into the tournament. So that was kind of my other little theory. And then this is my biggest thing with Jeremy um in the entire game. He did not attempt a shot for the first 8 minutes of the game. I think that's absolutely unacceptable. He's averaging 15 points a game. He is our main source of offense, whether he's scoring or passing. I think it's absolutely unacceptable that he's not shooting the ball. And as you could see for the first 8 minutes of the game, super sloppy basketball, very inefficient basketball. And it just our offense looked like doo-doo. And
I
uh
agree.
so and then again there was another point in the game where he had an easy breakaway layup and he chose to slow down and try to draw the foul instead. They didn't call the foul and ended up him just chucking up a shot. I really didn't like that, especially that was before he even attempted a shot. Um Yeah, that was pretty much the first half. And I also didn't like that he didn't go downhill a lot. It was a lot of him dribbling at the top of the key, just waiting for people to move. While, yes, people have to move on offense, he's also got to do some creating too, because we know our team, we know that they can't create for themselves. So he's got to do it. And it creates opportunities for him and other people. He really picked it up in the second half that I really liked. And then the last thing I'm going to really talk about with Jeremy is that dumb technical that he had. There was 8 minutes left to go in the second half. He's shooting free throws, and he gets a double tech with Gabe Cupps because they're talking trash to each other. And it was like the first, so he was dribbling, turned around, talking. The ref let it slide the first time. Then he continued to dribble, and then he went a second time, and that's when he teed it up. And I think as the leader of the team, he can't be doing dumb stuff like that. He's got to be mature enough to understand the situation, know it's a close game. He had two fouls at the time. That technical was his third foul with 8 minutes left to go in the game. So now all of a sudden he's in foul trouble. And it really puts our team in a really bad situation. So that's I just didn't really like
Letting Gabe Cupps get in your head is kind of crazy.
it's
Someone that's
really
just like a
crazy.
complete non-factor. It's just I don't know what this past like month and a half for Jeremy has. It just feels like he'll have games obviously where he's leading the team really well and having a good game, but it feels like more often than not he's, hurting the team more than he's helping just with his antics. And it just it sucks because he is like our captain, he is our main leader on this team. And when he's acting and playing like that, it does nothing but hurt the team. So it's a little frustrating that he's still continuing to do some things like this, but
It feels like the media is almost getting into his head,
which I
which
know he sees it because he's all over social media. So
yeah. So I feel like the social media is getting to his head, and I don't know if he's just internalizing it or he's just like, all right, if you want me to be the villain, I'm gonna be the villain. And also, he was also whining a lot in the first half. Like I was saying, when he went for that breakaway layup, he didn't get the call. There was a lot of times where he did drive and he did not get the call. Um, and there was a moment, literal moment in the game. He was laying on the floor and he just goes and he's just screaming at the ref, and he's just throwing an absolute tantrum like a toddler. I'm just like, I'm sorry, man. Like, there's no way Tom Izzo is like okay with you acting like that on the court. Like, how are you not embarrassed as a person in general? Like, how old are you and you're acting like a toddler? Like, come on now, be better. And yeah, so that's all I'm gonna end with Jeremy. I just hope that he can turn it around and he doesn't listen to the haters and he can actually like blossom into the person we know he can be. So, moving on to the next segment is our offensive struggles. Would you like to go ahead and start?
yeah, once again, it's been the same story for the last month or so. Slow start after slow start after slow start after slow start. Every single game is the story of the game. You mentioned earlier, this is 6 out of our last 7 games that we've been behind at halftime. But then they also said the stat during the game that we have some of the most or one of the most wins when we're going into the half losing, and then we come back and win or something like that. It's just not a recipe for success. It's not going to be in the tournament whatsoever. If we keep on doing this, it's going to hurt us. And it's so frustrating to see every game. It's funny. I mean, I watched like right in the first couple minutes. We ended up scoring first, and Ohio State didn't. My dad makes a joke. He's like, "Oh wow, the other team didn't score before us." Like it's just he's expecting the other team to always score before we get a chance to score, and it's just like a constant repetitive thing. And we're just always starting out horrible, and it takes like especially when we're playing at home, it takes the energy out of the Breslin. It just like it's hard to keep fans invested in the game when they're always just coming down from behind. And it's hard to bring it back because you don't have, that energy in the building. And Izzo mentioned in the post game that this is likely most of that Izzone's last for the seniors at least their last time in the Izzone because the senior night is during their spring break, and so they did all their senior Izzone festivities after the game because a lot of them are going to be gone. But anyways, um, it's unacceptable at this point. We cannot keep starting games like this. Like if you get down in the tournament, like you're not going to have your home crowd to bring you back. Like it's just on neutral, whatever. It's the March Madness for the most part is all momentum. Like you have to be playing well for multiple games in a row. Every single half, you got to be playing your best basketball. And if you have one bad half, you're likely going home.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your thoughts are on just every game being slow start, but
Yeah, I mean, it's super frustrating, especially in the start of the year when we didn't have those slow starts. We actually came out and punched the other team in the mouth. But like you said, it's a recipe for disaster in March where the entire tournament is built on energy. It's built on leading up to the tournament, what kind of energy you're building in the tournament, what your bench is bringing. Our bench has been pretty quiet, not in terms of playing, more so like getting up and cheering on and bringing energy. And you can't really notice it too much at home because of the crowd, but away games, you really can notice it
Oh
because
yeah.
we've struggled on the road and our bench is quiet, super quiet. And
It's like you can tell the difference on the road. We just like as soon as we start bad, which we have been our last couple road games, like it's just like they curl up and they're just like afraid to do anything, and then the energy is just completely taken out. Like arguably right now, like our best road win you could argue is like Washington or something like that.
yeah,
Like we won on the road against Rutgers, we played terrible. We lost on the road at Minnesota. We lost terribly at Wisconsin. Like, and then all the other road wins are probably against lesser teams. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm really worried about. I mean, I don't want to get into previews, but
yeah, we'll do
just
that a different time.
one in the Mackey, anyways. But yeah, slow starts. They need to stop. And then just we got back into the offense struggling as a whole, where they got a little bit better in the second half, but the first half it was because I think Ohio State zoned us for most of the game, and it hurt us that Jackson was hardly playing in the first half. So he's, I mean, I don't want to call him a zone killer, but he's as much of a zone killer on our team as we have because he can really score from all three levels. And so when we don't have him, it's really hard to, get the ball inside and then kick out and create other things. So what them zoning us, it really made our offense very stagnant, which has been a trend for the last decade for Michigan State basketball,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And Tom Izzo likes to say, "Oh, I prepare for it. Teams can throw zones at me, and I don't care, blah blah." But then time and time again, it seems like every time someone throws a zone at us, we play our worst basketball. So,
Literally in my
um,
notes, I have 2-3 once again killing us.
yeah, it's
It's
just a
been the
constant,
story
and
of Michigan State basketball ever since I can remember.
it's so frustrating because we love Tom Izzo with all of our heart, but I
Yeah,
don't understand why a 2-3 zone is his kryptonite. It
I
just
don't either. And like kind of going with that 2-3 in the first half, it was pretty rough. Against it. But in the second half, one thing I guess this is also not necessarily this game. This game specifically, I saw it, but I'm also going to speak on past games. This game, when Jackson came in, I really liked it because he was in the middle. We were able to get the ball into the middle easily. All he did was pivot, shoot, bucket. It's that simple. It really is because then they're going to start guarding that pivot shot. And what does that do? Open lanes for the cutters, open shooters. Yeah, literally. And so it opens up so much for us, where in games past, all we have is we have someone on the wing, we have a big um on the other block, and then we just have Cohen in the middle. And I'm sorry, like I like Cohen. He's not a threat in the middle, at least a consistent threat. He could do a dribble pull up, but that pivot
But for
shot,
the most part, if he's getting it in the middle, he's just going to put his head down and drive his shoulder into someone and
yeah,
go
and
up.
it
Like
just
it's not going to work every time.
it really clogs the paint. And I think having Jackson in the middle and telling him to just shoot it first, because a lot of times he hesitates as we see pump fake, pump fake, pump fake. In this situation, I want him to shoot it first every single time until they start guarding it. Once they
Yeah.
start guarding it, that's when it's going to start becoming dangerous because then they're going to have to choose leave Jackson open or leave one of the cutters or one of the shooters open. And then once that starts happening, they're going to have to get out of the 2-3. And then now we have them exactly where we want them in a man-to-man. Um, the last thing I have for our offensive struggles, one thing that kind of has been confusing me a little bit is Trey Fort's minutes. Um,
Pretty much all season, but
yeah, and specifically this game, I'm going to talk about a little more. He had 4 minutes this game. Um, I understand why people are saying don't play him. I understand why Coach Izzo is not playing him is because he's a defensive liability. However, in a game where our defense isn't playing well like it is, and our offense isn't playing well, I would like to see Trey Ford get more minutes so that way he can get those shots up because we saw what he did against Minnesota. He almost brought us back single-handedly. Like he can hit some crazy shots and he's able to produce on offense. And for one, I know you can attest to this from playing basketball. You can't get going offensively in only 4 minutes of action. Like you can't just expect a player to come throw them in for a minute and expect them to bring a spark. And if they don't, then bring them right back out. That's just not how the game of basketball works. You have to let them like warm up, warm into playing. And I especially in a game where we struggled offensively and a team that struggles offensively, I really would like to see Trey Ford get more minutes before it's like too late, you
I
know.
agree. Because I mean, like you said, when we're struggling offensively, putting him in, like it, if I mean, he can get his shot off pretty much anywhere he wants, just with his way he's able to create for himself. He also has a unique kind of shot that I think is a really nice shot that he gets a lot of
Yeah.
elevation on his shot. Like he jumps up super high where he's able to jump over taller defenders and get his shot off whenever he wants to. So like I agree. Like if we're struggling to shoot, put him out there because he will shoot the ball and he will get his shot off versus someone who's going to get the ball. And if you see a closeout, they're going to pump fake, dribble, and pass it versus he's like, no, I see the rim. I'm going to jump over and shoot it. Like, I agree.
And it's
It
different when
just,
it's like a game like Michigan, where it was a pure defensive battle. And I mean, we had our offensive struggles, but the thing was, like I said, just said, it was a defensive battle. We couldn't afford to have them out there when that was the only thing going for us. And in the games like this, where it's not a defensive battle, that's the games where, especially in March, yeah, it's gonna be a thing that I would like to see more.
it's
Um,
like, too, I mean, if you give him more time and more of a chance, he said coming March time, like, there could be a time coming in March where, say, one of our guards or multiple of our guards get in foul trouble, you want someone to come in that you can trust to, provide good minutes, someone that's confident I mean, I think he's going to be confident regardless when he comes in, but like, just like Trey Fort's not necessarily especially on short prep when it comes to the tournament, he's not going to be a player that people are, scouting or game planning for. Like, it'd be cool if if we forced to bring him in, or if you just throw him in a March Madness game in like a big game. People are not going to be thinking about Trey Fort. You put him in there and like, oh shoot, he just came in and hit three
he's
threes on us. Like that just throws everything for a loop. Like you need to. I think we need to slowly build his confidence and start bringing him more time because especially when like losing Divine and stuff like that, like he's gonna have to step up at some point.
I think maybe we start showing that in the Big Ten tournament. Maybe that's when, because people aren't really going to game plan for, or the people in March Madness aren't going to necessarily look at the Big Ten tournament as something for real, because a lot of people like to experiment during that time. So maybe we try to see some more lineups with Trey during the Big Ten tournament and see where it goes. But do you have any other thoughts on our offensive struggles before we move on?
Um, Not really, no. Unless you do, I think we could maybe start to, I mean, I also just want to say this recap kind of sounds depressing as if we lost the game. Let's just, an ugly win is better than a loss.
Yeah.
So I know we seem down in the dumps and gloomy. Our team's been playing, we've been struggling well or a lot recently, but we have won two in a row. So it's not like we lost. So let's take this as a positive thing. But there are
Yeah,
still things that we
a win's a win, but we just expect the best out of our team, as I'm sure you guys do. Sure, Coach Izzo does. Everyone just expects the best out of this team. Yeah, we're not really talking too positively, but it's for the best, I guess.
yeah.
So I guess moving on to our defensive slash discipline issues. Would you like me to start or would you like to start?
Go for it.
All right. Kind of like I was talking about in the preview a little bit. There was a lot of times again where Jordan Scott was struggling to get through the screens. Bruce Thornton hit a three right in his face off of a screen, and it was because Jordan was struggling to get through screens, and it's been a constant issue with him. And I don't, if I'm being honest, I'm gonna be really pessimistic. I don't see that issue being solved at all this year. I think that's a over the summer thing that he works on, which is kind of upsetting. But again, it's or end of the season, so I wouldn't really expect him to try new things or whatever. But that was one of the struggles that I
I
wasn't.
don't want to make it sound like he's a bad defender, though. He's probably this
No,
team's best defender. So
he.
he does struggle getting through screens, but let's like I'm not saying you are, but like I don't want it to come off as if he's struggling on defense because
Oh
we're
yeah,
typically putting him on the team's best player every time at this point. So
oh, absolutely. Like when I'm talking about Jordan Scott on defense, it's specifically through screens. Like he's a very good defender. It's just he struggles and he's the only time he's a bad defender is getting through screens. He either goes under, he gets stuck a lot, and he's like yeah, he just gets stuck a lot through the screens, and he needs to work on fighting through it. Other than that, he's a good defender. Um, Kind of with the discipline stuff I already talked about, especially with Jackson being our senior. He really needs to be aware of the fouls and aware of the 90 feet fouls. Um, he needs to know the situation, especially with where we're at in the end of the season. Another discipline thing with Jeremy's technical, which I already talked about. Again, our leader, we can't be getting dumb fouls. We can't be setting standards that are just gonna make us lose the game, which obviously we didn't, but very well could have. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's all I really had for. Oh, yeah, I guess there was one other thing. Well, a couple other things. One thing I noticed is we had really bad rotations on defense, a couple possessions. I don't want to say the whole game because we definitely picked it up a little bit. But for the most part, there was a lot of confusion, not guys not knowing where to be, guys being too slow to the spot they needed to be at. So I would like to see that improved a little bit, but that's something that I noticed. And then Devin Wojcik, man, he in those like 4 minutes he played, he's guarding Bruce. Bruce drove right past him. And so Bruce was right here. This was Denham. Bruce shot the ball. Instead of Denham doing something, he just looked and watched. And then he looked and watched. Bruce got his own rebound while Denham was still watching right here and then went up and then got fouled. All like I understand he's not the greatest player, but put the effort in. Like don't look scared out there. He looked a little bit like a lost puppy. And so in though because we know
he
he's
is
yeah,
he is a
and
lost puppy.
unfortunately, we do know he's going to get those minutes. Like, so I feel like it does need to be talked about because he's going to be out there. But yeah, he needs to stop
Probably got
watching.
the worst plus minus in college basketball. Like as soon as he comes in, our team.
Yeah, he just does too much ball watching. But that's all I had for defensive and discipline stuff.
I mean, you really touched on most of the stuff that I saw defensively. Like, I know Bristol went off, but I mean, you can't be like too sour about it if you're holding this team to 60 points. Like, I know it sucks seeing one guy just do whatever he wants and eat, but we did hold him to 60. But I agree with most of the stuff that you were saying. All right, so now we're just gonna finish this video off by looking ahead to, what we got next, coming down the home stretch here. Got 4 games left before we start the Big Ten tournament, and then what we've all been waiting for, the best time of the year, March Madness. We can talk briefly about that. So yeah, our next 4 games, three of our next 4 games are on the road in very tough environments. As a Michigan State fan, I'm not going to sit up here and say Chrysler Center is a super hard place to play, but I will give them their props. They are a good team, so it's going to be tough regardless. But our next 2 in particular, we're making a Indiana road trip, the state of Indiana. We're at Purdue playing in Mackey Arena, and then at Indiana playing I forget what it's called in there. Assembly Hall. Sorry, excuse me,
Yeah, assembly.
basketball fans. 2 very historically hard places to play that, historically, I don't think Michigan State tends to play very well, and especially
Very
Mackey
passionate
Arena.
fans too. Passionate.
Yeah. So with the upcoming game against Purdue on Thursday, very excited for that game. Very big Big Ten standings implications as well as March Madness implications. Right now, for some odd reason, I don't really agree with it that Purdue is two, because Michigan State, as of right now, for the March Madness tournament seeding, we're projected a 4 seed, and Purdue's all the way up at a 2. I feel like we're more both teams suited for like a 3. I feel like our resume is very similar to Purdue's, if not better. That could be just me being biased, but it'll come down to Thursday when we play them, and then obviously uh, Indiana, Rutgers, and then at Michigan. Huge game to end the season. I think at this point, Michigan's already wrapped up the Big Ten regular season. I think right now we're just playing for, like I said, that March Madness tournament seeding, and then hopefully we can get into that, top four Big Ten standings by the end of the year, so that when it comes to Big Ten tournament, we can get that triple bye and not have to play as many games to win the tournament. But what are your thoughts on what we have upcoming here towards the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, Purdue, I think they've been kind of overrated all year. I mean, we saw that with, I mean, they started the year out hot, but then hit that cold streak. Um, yeah, I mean, their fan base is always super passionate. Mackey's always a hard place to play. Historically, this season, though, Purdue's lost quite a bit of home games.
They
So,
got spanked at home against Ohio State, like bad. It was like their worst home loss in like their history, I think.
yeah, and we're going to touch on it a little more in our preview video, but the lines opened up at, I believe it was Purdue minus 11 and a half.
11 and a half.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which
Wow.
I think we're a lot closer to Purdue than what people think. Yeah,
12.4.
Purdue's just very, very overrated. And they have been all year. They
I mean,
always,
I think they're good, but geez,
yeah, but I don't think they're two seed good, and I don't think they're 11 and a half point favorites against us good.
that's a little crazy.
Yeah, and then so Indiana, in my opinion, trap game. I think in my prediction, I think we beat Purdue at Purdue and then we lose to Indiana. I think
Would not
we,
be surprised at all.
yeah, and I mean Indiana, another very passionate fan base. Hall is another hard place to play at. Um, so I would not be surprised if we beat Purdue and lost to Indiana. And then Rutgers, I mean, rough game against them the first time, but we're home against them. We'll see. And then,
Senior night.
yeah, senior night, we'll see how we do against Michigan. So, all right. Well, anyways, that's gonna wrap the video up. Thank you guys for watching and go green.
Go white, baby.